Okay, let's dive into one of the greatest maritime mysteries of all time, the story of the Mary Celeste. Just imagine this for a second. A ship found sailing perfectly fine on the open ocean, but with absolutely no one on board. Right? That's the question that has been haunting historians and sleuths for over 150 years. How does a totally seaworthy vessel, packed with supplies, just lose its entire crew in the middle of the Atlantic? It's a paradox, and it's the very heart of this ghost ship's tale. I want you to imagine you're on the deck of another ship, the Dei Gratia. You see a vessel up ahead, and it's sailing weirdly. As you get closer, you notice her sails are a mess, and there's just this creepy silence. The crew who found her said it best. She looked like she'd been in a panic. You just knew deep down that something was terribly wrong.
All right, so let's get right into the scene. This is the moment the Mary Celeste sailed out of the fog and into legend.
So this is the day it all kicks off. The crew of the Dei Gratia spots her, about 400 miles off the Azores, just kind of drifting aimlessly. They shout, they call out, but get nothing back. Just the wind and the waves. Finally, they decide they have to board her. And what they find is even stranger than an empty ship.
To even begin to understand what might have happened, we've got to rewind. Before she was a ghost ship, the Mary Celeste was just on a normal trip. So let's take a look at who was on board and where this fateful journey was supposed to be going. This timeline is absolutely key. The ship leaves New York on November 7th. The very last log entry is on November 25th, and just 9 days later, she's found totally abandoned. Whatever happened, whatever it was, it happened in that 9-day window. And we can't forget this isn't just a story about a ship. It's a human story. It's about 10 people who were here 1 minute and gone the next. That's what makes this so much more than just a maritime incident. It's a truly haunting mystery. So who were they? Well, at the center of it all was Captain Benjamin Briggs, a really respected sailor. And he had his wife, Sarah, and their little 2-year-old daughter, Sophia, with him. They were joined by a crew of 7 guys, all experienced sailors. These were not rookies. These were pros who knew what they were doing. So, the boarding party from the Dei Gratia gets on the ship, and they're obviously looking for answers. But what they found, and maybe more importantly what they didn't find, just made the whole thing 10 times more mysterious. The scene wasn't chaos. It was this eerie, unsettling calm. Okay, so this is where it gets really, really weird. On the one hand, you've got 6 months worth of food and water just sitting there. All the crew's personal stuff, their valuables, totally untouched. The cargo was safe, but then the entire crew is gone. The only lifeboat is gone, and the captain's navigational tools? Also gone. It just makes no sense. Why would you abandon a perfectly good ship but take the tools you need to find your way? And there were absolutely no signs of a fight. They found the captain's wife's sewing machine with a piece of work still in it, like she literally just got up for a second. The ship itself was in great shape, totally seaworthy. It wasn't a scene of chaos. It was like everyone on board just evaporated. Now, with a mystery this bizarre, you can bet everyone had a theory. I mean, people have suggested everything from mutiny to giant squids. But let's look at the theories that are at least a little bit plausible and see if any of them actually hold water. So, theory number 1, pirates. It was the 1870s, so it's not a crazy idea, but this theory falls apart almost instantly. Pirates want loot, right? The cargo of industrial alcohol was worth a fortune, not to mention the crew's personal cash and belongings. It was all still there. So, nope, it just doesn't add up. Okay, what about a mutiny? Maybe the crew turned on the captain? It's possible, sure, but again, the evidence just isn't there. Captain Briggs had a great reputation, and more importantly, the ship was way too neat and tidy for a violent struggle. It was just too calm. All right, this brings us to a theory that's a bit more believable. Some kind of natural event, maybe a freak storm, a waterspout, or even a small seaquake. The captain might have panicked, thinking the ship was about to go down. Or, and this is a big one, he might have feared that the cargo of highly volatile alcohol was about to explode, so he orders a temporary evacuation into the lifeboat, planning to stay tied to the ship. But if that rope snapped, they would have been lost at sea. So when you lay it all out like this, you can really see the problem. Every theory explains one little piece of the puzzle, but gets contradicted by another piece. Piracy and mutiny just don't work, because nothing was stolen and there was no violence. The natural disaster idea explains why they'd be in a lifeboat, but it means a very experienced captain abandoned a perfectly good ship. The big takeaway is that none of these theories is a perfect fit, not even close.
And so we're right back where we started, with a question mark. And that lack of a clear answer, that's exactly why this story has stuck with us for so long. It's the ultimate mystery.
No bodies were ever found, no wreckage from the lifeboat, no note, nothing, ever. The 10 people on board the Mary Celeste just sailed off the map and into history, leaving behind this perfectly preserved puzzle for us to obsess over.
And there's a saying for a reason. The ocean is huge and it's powerful, and sometimes it just doesn't tell its stories. The fate of Captain Briggs, his family, and his crew seems to be one of those secrets the sea is holding on to.
And really, that's what the Mary Celeste leaves us with. It's like reading the most incredible mystery novel you've ever found, getting to the very end, only to find that the last page has been torn out. We have the beginning, we have the middle, but that final critical chapter is just gone, and we're left to wonder forever what was on it.